Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please be seated. I know you are all enjoying each other's company, but I do have to ask you to please take your seat. Okay, very good. So earlier tonight, there was a concern that you might not be able to understand the microphone. How am I doing in the back? Everything okay? All right, very good, thank you. Good evening. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you here this evening for astoundingly what is our 6th annual Beacons of History Award program. 6 years. For those of you who I have not yet met personally, my name is Denise Van Buren, and I'm a past president of the Beacon Historical Society, and I'm also the chairman for this evening's event. We're immensely grateful to all of you who have attended this annual fundraiser, and I assure you it is going to be an absolutely wonderful night. But I am going to begin with a few introductions. Since we are gathering tonight on the eve of Veterans Day, I have to begin our program by asking all of our veterans to please rise so that we can acknowledge your service. If you are a veteran of any conflict, please rise. Thank you all so very much. As I mentioned, this is our 6th annual event, and I'd like to ask any of our past honorees who are here to please stand. If they couldn't be here, I will ask their family member or their guests to rise on their behalf, or if you were a member of a group that was honored in the past, and I'll ask the audience, please withhold your recognition until all have been presented. So our individual honorees, 2017, Clara Lou Gould, 2018, Ronnie Beth Sowers, 2019, Robert Murphy, 2020, the Chorus family, and 2021, Art and Mary Lou Johnson. Come on, table over there, stand up, represent, come on now. Thank you, Diane Murphy, who should have been standing for Robert. And then in our other category, our business or our organizational honoree, 2017 Hudson Beach Glass. I know he's here, there he is, okay. 2018, the Beacon Elks. Please rise if you're a member of the Elks. Woo-hoo. Woo! 2019, the Tyranda Garden Club. 2020, the Alp Sweet Shop was our business honoree, and 2021 was our Beacon Veterans past and present. Please recognize all these past honorees. There is some business to tonight, and of course we're trying to raise some funds. So it's hard for me to believe that my very shy sister-in-law didn't come to your table yet to sell you a raffle ticket, but where is she? Nobody puts baby in a corner. There she is, there's Erin. She would be delighted to sell you a raffle ticket, just raise your hand. I do want to have some fun, and I want to recognize tonight those of you who were actually born here in the city of Beacon. Please rise if you were born here in the great city of Beacon, New York. How great is that? Wasn't that grand? Thank you. You know, I've heard that a native Beaconite is the world's most endangered species. So I want to congratulate those of you who stood. So if I could have your attention, please, I would be so grateful so that we can all hear tonight's program and specifically our honorees. So in my school teacher mode, which I never was a school teacher, I'll say, shh, party table over there, I know who you are. One of the dictionary definitions of the word beacon is a fire or a light set high or in a prominent position as a warning or as a signal. As we all well know, of course, our city takes its very name from the beacon signal fires along the Hudson Highlands during the American Revolution. But a secondary definition of the word beacon is a source of inspiration. So it seemed only fitting that we would choose Beacons of History as the name for our annual recognition, as the individual and the organization who we honor have served as an inspiration to help us preserve and to celebrate our city's rich past, but also our city's rich sense of community. We're grateful for your support this evening, and I've asked our president, Diane Lapis, to please give us an update on the Beacon Historical Society, and most importantly, as a result of all the renewed interest in Beacon, to tell us a little bit about the importance of preserving and celebrating Beacon's history. Please join me in welcoming Diane Lapis.
Well, thank you, Denise. And it is such a pleasure to see everyone here tonight. It's very gratifying knowing how hard we work as volunteers to see your support here this evening. So I first would like to congratulate Tony Lassiter and the Melzinga chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. I would like to share some of the Society's activities this past year. We started our grand reopening at 61 Leonard Street. It was a very moving day as we dedicated our headquarters as the Robert J. Murphy Research Center. Many of you knew Bob and his commitment to preserving Beacon's history. He served as president of the Society for 20 years and researched and wrote the newsletter for 38. His writings, all historical gems, are captured in 2 Arcadia books and in the compilation Beacon's Memory Keeper and Storyteller, thanks to the efforts of Denise, holding it up, and Bob's sister Diane Murphy. So we do have a copy for your perusal, and are you selling them upstairs? Yeah, after this evening's program, you can purchase them upstairs. They're on our website and also at our headquarters. You might even win a copy if you purchased a raffle ticket. We do have one in each of the 2 raffle baskets. In addition to the building dedication, we recognize the contributions of Denny and Karen Meyer and named the South Side Galleries, the Dennis G. and Karen I. Meyer Galleries. Denny and Karen. recognition of Arthur and Mary Lou Johnson's contributions and in honor of his parents, we named the library the Arthur and Rita Johnson Library. They're not here this evening, but there should be some tables, some family members here or friends. Sadly, we lost a dear friend and member this year, Joanne McDonald. Joanne and Ian were active members of our Beacons of History Committee since its inception and helped the Society in so many other ways throughout the years. In particular, Joanne created all the floral arrangements for the past 5 award events. In honor of her memory and a generous contribution by Ian McDonald Sr. and family, we are dedicating one of our galleries as the Joanne M. and Ian G. McDonald Map Room. Ian Jr. and Renee McDonald are here this evening. If you could please stand. In 2022, we welcome visitors from near and far for a variety of exhibitions, including the Treasures from the Archives, the story of the Jewish experience in Beacon in collaboration with the Beacon Hebrew Alliance's Centennial, Mount Beacon and the Incline Railway, and the 150th anniversary of the Howland Library. We became stewards of the Mount Beacon Incline Railway Society and dedicated a permanent gallery to share the history of the mountain and the incline. The Society's next exhibition with related programming will open this Saturday, November 12th, featuring the artistry of our neighbor Shirley Botsford, whose needle arts were inspired by her 1889 Queen Anne home on High Street. Each year, we present 8 history talks on topics related to Beacon and the local region. If you missed the talk about architect Richard Morris Hunt, or the amazing reenactment of Eliza Howland by trustee Emily Marnane, where are you, Emily? There we are. Or Denise's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and so many others, please visit our website to catch up on all our programs. Join us on Tuesday, November 29, for our final talk this year about the history of New Hamburg by Dutchess County Historical Society Board President Rob Doyle. Are you here today, Rob? No? Okay. And please save the date for our members' holiday party on December 10th, with information forthcoming in our newsletter. We are excited to announce the launching of a capital campaign to install central air conditioning to our historic home. We are kickstarting it with generous funds from Arthur and Mary Lou Johnson. Central air will provide relative humidity and steady temperatures critical to maintaining our collections and comfort for our volunteers. More details will to follow in the new year. So, this is my 3rd and last year as president of the Society. I'm very proud of the direction and the growth that the Society has taken under my leadership. Here are just a few things that happened during my tenure. Moving and establishing our new headquarters during COVID, instituting year-round exhibitions, providing virtual access to programming, obtaining a sizable number of grants and sponsorships, overseeing over 30 volunteers, collaborating with local and regional organizations, and initiating special fundraisers as the annual postcard show, an evening of cocktails and history at the Wonder Bar, and various research and community-wide projects. None of this would have been possible without my husband, Peter, and our team of fantastic volunteers who devote thousands of hours each year. Special thanks to our trustees who are tirelessly committed to our mission of promoting and preserving the history of Beacon. I will be resuming my position as trustee and continue to work on a number of special projects. I'm pleased to announce our new executive board for 2023. Denise Van Buren is president. Diane Murphy as vice president. Anna Marcus as treasurer, I think she's back there. And Barbara Scrafia as secretary. As Denise mentioned, your financial support helps us to fulfill our mission. If you're not a member, forms are available on the display table and also at the reception desk, and of course on our website. Members receive our informative monthly newsletter thanks to Denise's incredible writing and research. Members also know that they are contributing to the good work that we do. So please visit us at our website at beaconhistorical.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and for updates and interesting tidbits of Beacon history. And of course, come visit us at our new headquarters. And with that, cheers to the awardees, and enjoy the rest of the evening at the beautiful Roundhouse Event Center. Thank you.
Excited for the opportunity to have Diane return to the work she loves, which is researching Beacon's past and really uncovering a lot of our heretofore unappreciated stories. And so thank you, Diane, for 3 superb years. Please join me in recognizing Diane. Thank you. Society volunteers have spent, in fact, more than 4 decades collecting and preserving Beacon's past, and that work is more important than ever before. Why? Because of all the new interest and all the changes that are occurring in Beacon. If you haven't yet visited us at 61 Leonard Street, please plan to do so. Relive some memories of the ferry or the incline. Research the history of your family or your home. Beacon and its fascinating past. And if you're not already a member, as Diane said, we'd love to welcome you tonight. It's just $25 a year. Much of our society's progress is carried forward by a board of volunteer trustees. If you're currently serving as an officer or a trustee, would you please stand as a group so that we can recognize you? All the board, current trustees, and officers. Thank you so much. Now, we also have 2 very unique VIP guests here tonight. 2 of the 3 gentlemen who helped to restore one of the most tangible examples of Beacon's rich history in recent months, a local landmark that symbolizes the city of Beacon. Beacon Highway Superintendent Mike Manzi and DPW staffer Davey Way, would you please stand? There they are. Mike, Davey, and Sean DeToro, who could not be with us, of course, restored our beloved. Very lackluster people. They restored our beloved. Please express your appreciation to them and to their team. So now just a few more announcements before we begin the program that brought us here together. Thank you to our sponsors who made tonight a financial success for us. You can see a list of them in your program. I do want to recognize 5 exceptionally generous sponsors. When your name is called, please stand and remain standing, and let's withhold our recognition until they've all been presented. The City of Beacon Housing Authority, Arthur and Mary Lou Johnson, who couldn't be with us but have a table of guests, Karen and Denny Meyer, the Roundhouse at Beacon Falls, and the Van Buren family. Please join me in thanking these generous folks. Thank you so much. I spoke with the folks from the Housing Authority, and they agreed that if we started a Tony Lassiter fan club, we could pay all of our bills all the time. What do you think? I would be really remiss if I did not recognize and thank our hardworking Beacons of History Committee volunteers. It's a small group of us who do this. I won't call out all your names, but if you worked on tonight's event, would you please stand so that we can recognize you? Come on now, Gary, Susan, Denny, small handful, Diane Lapis. Whew. Okay, now, finally, on with the show. This evening's first honoree is actually our group or organizational award. Reflecting on the founding of Melzinga chapter nearly 40 years after it had been organized, charter member Anna Dean Kendall recalled that back in 1895, 40 years earlier, times were changing. Cities were being electrified, phonographs had come into use, the horseless carriage was being talked about, and even aviation was being considered. She wrote, "Perhaps we feared the traditions would be lost forever." And so Anna Dean and 11 other women gathered to conduct the first meeting of a local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. They did so on November the 13th in 1895, right here in Madiwan, now Beacon. That, ladies and gentlemen, is 127 years ago, and I'm happy to report they are still going strong. The first order of business was choosing a name. Melzinga was a Native American name associated with the place, and it was, quote, in their minutes, said to be the most pleasing to the ear and also associated with the old traditions of the place. For those of you who know, what is one of our reservoirs named here in the city of Beacon? Where's our mayor? Where'd he go? What's the name of the reservoir? There you go. Can you spell it is the real question. The chapter's charter was delivered on June the 4th, 1896, and was presented to our founding chapter regent, Catherine Walcott. She's behind the table here. She would later be Mrs. Verplank at what we know today as the Madam Brett Homestead. Chapter members took an immediate interest in preserving local historic sites. The graves of approximately 50 Revolutionary War soldiers were marked, and impressive monuments were raised throughout southern Dutchess County of Revolutionary War-related locations. One of the most prominent, that you all probably are most familiar with, is of course the Stone Beacon. It was dedicated on July the 4th, 1900, high atop Mount Beacon, a place where men had been stationed during the American Revolutionary War to maintain signal fires. How many of you were with us on Independence Day 2000 when we rededicated? About 600 people joined us to rededicate it. Stand up and get a round of applause for that, for the centennial. It was the hottest 4th of July in about 25 years, and most of those people who stood didn't speak to me for about 5 years after I had that ceremony. Many local residents, of course, associate our chapter, I am a member of the chapter, with its nearly 7-decade stewardship of the circa 1709 Madam Brett Homestead, when the earlier members rescued it from demolition. Can you imagine, to make way for the AMP supermarket? That was back in 1954. You should all be very proud that Beacon has the oldest extant building in all of Dutchess County, our Madam Brett Homestead. It's open for school tours and to the public during Beacon's second Saturdays and other events. Also in 1999, right down the street, Melzinga chapter donated the bust of George Washington on Walcott Avenue to the city of Beacon to honor our first president's visits, not only to the city of Beacon, but to the Madam Brett Homestead. Melzinga chapter today remains one of the largest and most active in all of New York State, especially devoted to supporting local veterans at the Castle Point VA Medical Center. It was also instrumental in the effort to erect banners around the city to honor our veterans. It's approximately 150 members, one of the largest in New York State, all descendants of patriots who won American independence, also welcome new citizens, sponsor history essay contests, and complete various conservation projects. Melzinga chapter is one of 3,000 DAR chapters around the world, all of them devoted to promoting historic preservation, education, and patriotism. And just to give you an idea of the magnitude of the impact that DAR makes, during my 3-year term as the president of the National Society down in Washington, that term ended this past July, our members gave 15 million hours of community service in 3 years. I'd like to ask all the members of Melzinga chapter who are here tonight to please stand to receive our appreciation. If you're a member of Melzinga chapter, stand, be proud, girls. Woo! They look pretty good for 127 years old, don't they? It's an honor for me to now invite our current Melzinga chapter regent, Nancy Asaba Giordano, a Beacon native, to come forward to accept the award, and I'll ask Diane Lapis to please come to the front of the room to make the presentation. Right here, ladies. Just the two of you with Chris. I'm very bossy.
Thank you so much. What an honor and thrill it was when we were told the Beacon Historical Society had selected Melzinga Chapter, National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, as one of its 2 recipients of the Beacons of History Awards at this 6th annual event. And what a thrill it is to be here tonight with many of Melzinga's current members who also proudly represent our wonderful organization. From the heart of a Beacon native, a special thank you to President Diane Lapis and the Beacon Historical Society for all you do. Since 1976, many of us have watched you evolve to more than a historical society, although you are exceptional at that. Your group of dedicated and inspired members not only ensure Beacon's history stays alive, but you make it interesting and relevant both to old-timers and newcomers. The product you make and market helps bring everyone together to create and enjoy the vibrancy in today's Beacon. And to another Beacon native, Tony Lassiter, Melzinga offers our congratulations to you as the individual recipient of the Beacons of History Award. We honor your military service to our great nation and thank you for your legacy of community service, both important elements of all that DAR values. As Denise has said, in 1896, Melzinga's charter was presented to founding Regent Catherine Wolcott Verplank at the Madame Brett Homestead. What was unforeseen on that date and in that place was that Melzinga daughters would become the owners of the Madame Brett Homestead some 58 years later when the chapter saved it from demolition in 1954. Now, after another 68 years, more than half of our life as an organization, we continue to love it, preserve it, and share its historic significance with the community and visitors through the tours and videos provided by our incomparable docents. You heard from Denise about some of the most high-profile projects Melzinga has proudly and successfully accomplished over the years. Think about these facts. Our founding and charter members in 1895 didn't yet have the right to vote. Without much money to back themselves up, local ladies in 1954 didn't hesitate to become homeowners of a 245-year-old building. Hundreds of women over the past 126 years of Melzinga's history were all descendants of men and women who supported our independence, and they discovered DAR as a means to honor their patriot ancestors. Today, we are proud to walk in the footsteps of these Melzinga daughters. We are proud to honor the memories of these strong and courageous women themselves who didn't want or need recognition for their patriotism and service, but who are certainly worthy of it. So to Diane Lapis and the board of the Beacon Historical Society, thank you again for this special recognition. And finally, I would not be doing my job if I didn't share that DAR members come from a variety of backgrounds and interests, but we all share a common bond of having an ancestor who helped contribute to securing the independence of the United States of America. Any woman 18 years or older, regardless of race, religion, or ethnic background, who can prove lineal descent from a patriot of the American Revolution is eligible to join. We Melzinga ladies are all very approachable, and our DAR pins will make it easy to find us. So let us know how we can help you find and prove your patriot, and then join us at Melzinga and DAR as we continue to shine a beacon of light on our community, our history, and our patriots. Thank you.
Tell you about is that Melzinga has this really unique claim to fame. Down at the national headquarters in Washington, D.C., we have Daughters of Distinction. And our little Melzinga chapter has a Daughter of Distinction. She was once one of our members. Now, these two tables are not allowed to answer this question, nor are you. Anyone recognize who this might be? This is one of the most famous women of the 19th century. She and her husband were guests at the White House by Abraham and Mary Lincoln. She's Mrs. Tom Thumb, Countess Lavinia Magri, or Lavinia Bum was her, Warren Bum. And she was our member because we believe she had a friend who owned the Holland Hotel. How many of you remember the Holland Hotel? Where's where the DMV was? In the Holland Hotel, there was a special miniature suite made for Mrs. Tom Thumb, so that when she came, everything was to perspective scale for her because they were such close friends. So she joins our local chapter of the DAR. Well, guess who we think is a long-lost relative? Nancy's a Warren, and so here she is. So, you're good for it, Nancy. It's kind of a neat little fact. How many people knew that about Beacon, right? Mrs. Tom Thumb. Thank you, Nancy. And immediately following the ceremony, would all of the ladies of the Melzinga chapter please come forward to the front of the room and we will take a group picture. I do want to point out again to all of you who maybe didn't hear me during the cocktail hour that we do have this display panel that Diane Lapis created about the history of Melzinga chapter. Please come take a look at it. We'd appreciate it. And now, for the moment you have all been waiting for. Our 2022 Beacon of History Individual Award Recognition. So I'm going to first begin by telling you a little story, which will probably surprise none of you who know Tony, but last week I got an email in my inbox that said, "You may have heard, I just had a stent, and I'm just getting out of the hospital." But why was he writing me? Because he said, "I just want you to know I'll be there Thursday. Don't worry about me, I will be here." How about a round of applause for this unbelievable community servant? He gets out of the hospital, and that's what he's worried about. Our Tony was born in the old Highland Hospital on Verplank Avenue in 1947, and he lived with his mother Vera and his brother Terry, first in Brockway and then later on Academy Street here in the city. He was educated in our Beacon City schools, and I hope you have been enjoying. Is our slideshow frozen again, Mark? We had a slideshow. We had some pictures of Tony in second grade and as the high school quarterback. He was educated here, and he graduated from Beacon High in 1966. He was even quarterback of the Bulldogs football team his senior year and also played on the wrestling and the baseball teams. Tony was drafted into the U.S. Army in April of 1968 as a combat engineer. He told me that he admits that he was worried about being called up for that draft. He told me, quote, "We were losing 300 soldiers a week in Vietnam, and I wasn't sure about going over." But he completed his basic training in Fort Bragg and was then stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco as a member of the prestigious Honor Guard detail for funerals. February 1969, Sergeant Lassiter was sent to the Republic of South Vietnam, and 6 months later, on August the 25th, he was injured by hostile forces when ambushed on a patrol. 3 of his soldiers were killed in that same attack. Awarded a Purple Heart while recovering in a military hospital in Long Binh, he would be medevac to Japan for more surgeries. Ultimately, Tony was honorably discharged November of 1969, and to this day, he carries some of the shrapnel that wounded him on his left side and his legs during that fateful day. The injuries he sustained ultimately led to a kidney transplant in 2013. Fortunately for us, after his release, Tony decided to come home to Beacon. He spent some time in San Francisco, but he came back to his hometown because he said, "Why, Tony, why'd you come back? All your friends were here. All his friends were here." Doesn't that say something about Beacon? He would enjoy a 30-year career at IBM, where one of his favorite responsibilities was recruiting students to come and work for his company. But he also served as a sergeant in the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office Tactical Squad and volunteered for 15 years on our city's planning board. In fact, at 75, he's still volunteering on the city's housing authority. As Vice Commander of the American Legion Post 203, as Quartermaster of the VFW, Military Order of the Purple Heart, as Treasurer for the Beacons Lions Club, and a volunteer with both the St. Andrews and the St. Luke's Church Food Pantry, as well as the Spirit of Beacon Day Committee. Little wonder that Tony Lassiter was named Spirit of Beacon Day Volunteer of the Year back in 1991. He's been married to his wife Patricia for more than half a century. Is that right? Can you believe that? You stand up and get our round of applause. I need to see your birth certificate. They have been blessed with 2 sons and 8 grandchildren, and we are so delighted that some of Tony's family could be here with us tonight. One thing is for certain, Tony Lassiter remains a remarkable American role model, neighbor, citizen, and a friend to many of us. Thank you, sir, for your lifetime of service to others. We are honored to recognize you and your contributions to Beacon with our 6th annual Beacons of History Award. Please come forward, and Diane Lapis, if you would also join Tony here to make the actual presentation. In recognition of his lifelong devotion to the city of Beacon and his selfless service to our nation, it is an honor for our Historical Society to present this Beacons of History Award to Tony Lassiter with deep gratitude. Sir, the microphone is yours.
Thank you so much, Denise. I had told Denise earlier that I tell you, I am truly overwhelmed with the response and all the folks who came out for this event tonight. I mean, what a great event, and I'm so happy to be here. I'd just like to take a minute just to introduce my family. My wife, Patricia, 50 years. We just celebrated our 50th anniversary, September 17th. My oldest son, Justin, and his wife, Nicole. My oldest son, I said that. My youngest son, Aaron. And I'd like to, our spiritual leader, Father Frank Alanya, his partner John, thank you so much for coming tonight. And last but not least, my dear friend, we've been friends since kindergarten. It's a long time. And, he's since moved down to Florida, but he flew up for this event so he could be here tonight. So that's Dan Pruitt, and thank you so much, Dan. But what I'd like to do is, I want to take you back to August 10th, 1969, a place called Vinh Long, Vietnam. I was sitting in a foxhole with my friend Sergeant James Francis. And, Sergeant Francis was telling me about, Sergeant Francis from Jamaica, and he was telling me about this delicious jerk chicken that his mom used to make when he was home, So then he asked me the question, well, Tony, what do you like? I said, well, Sarge, it's funny that you asked me that. When I was a senior in high school, we used to run from Beacon High down Teller Avenue over to a little hot dog store, hot dog shop named Pat's Texas Wiener. I would order up 2 hot dogs, mustard, onions, and his special sauce. Pat had the greatest hot dogs in the world. Eating those hot dogs was like eating a 5-star dinner. But I tell that story because that was August 10th, 1969. 5 days later, we were on convoy. Sergeant Francis, LeBron Baker, myself, and a couple other soldiers, and we got attacked. And Sergeant Baker got killed. And I can remember holding him in my arms and, just questioning why. Why did he have to die? Because he only had like another month in country before he was going to rotate out and go home. I tell this story because, Sergeant Francis was such an inspiration to me about volunteerism. He took care of his people. He made sure that his soldiers had everything that they needed to complete the mission. And that's the one thing I learned from Sergeant Francis. After I recovered from my wounds in Japan, I came back home, and I can remember I took the train up from the city. My first stop was to throw my bags on the porch, and I had the cab driver take me up to Pat's Texas Wiener so I could get those 2 hot dogs, in memory of Sergeant Francis. But, again, I never met a person who had so much inspiration on how I conducted my life. I'm talking about leadership, things that I was able to take through my career at IBM. He was just a fantastic individual, and I pray to God every day that he's up in heaven and he's looking down upon us. Denise read my bio, I tell you. But, he was my inspiration to get involved in volunteerism. And, when I got back home, I think my first thing I did, got hooked up with Mike Saltish. Mike was the director of the CYO basketball team at St. Joachim's, and he asked me to coach one of the teams. So I started as with my coaching career. And then I worked with Jimmy Martin. Jimmy, he coached the Giants, which my son played on. So I was one of his coaches. And then I got involved in American Legion, who does great things for our veterans. We go out, we do a lot of fundraising, but all that money that we make goes back to Castle Point. We will go up and do summer picnics, make sure that they have socks, underwear, whatever they need, we will supply for them. The same way with the VFW. And then I got involved with the Military Order of the Purple Heart. If any of you have never been to the museum over in New Windsor, you should go check it out. It's truly, truly fantastic. And then under Father Frank, we started the food bank, the food pantry at St. Andrew's Church. And I tell you, my wife been really involved in that, but I tell you, every Saturday morning, we get 20 people lined up, they're ready to go, so we make sure that they get the proper nutrition that they need for the week. Beacon Lions Club, I was able to serve as treasurer for the Beacon Lions Club. The City of Beacon Planning Board, I served for 15 years, and I currently serve with the great team from the Beacon Housing Authority. Storm and Norm here. Norm is the chairperson. Where's Norm? Norm, all right. There he is, yes. Norm McLeod, he's chairman of the Housing Authority. But, my message, if...
The only reason the board does anything well is because
Thank you, Norm. Thank you. I tell you, no wonder I'm struggling. I don't even have my glasses on. No wonder everything is fuzzy. I would encourage anyone who really wants to serve their community to get involved. There's no greater feeling, when people come up to you and say, thank you, we appreciate what you do for us. The food pantry is one, when people come in, they're truly, truly grateful for the food that we provide for them. In closing, I just wanted to say again, I am truly, truly humbled by the turnout, the folks that came out tonight. I see some of my old classmates here. It's just a fantastic evening. And Denise and the Beacon Historical Society, I can't say enough for you. So thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Tony Lassiter. In commemoration of the 50th anniversary, you may be seated, of the Vietnam War, the U.S. Department of Defense is conducting a mission to locate, to thank, and to honor all the men and women who served in our armed forces. They are veterans like Tony, warriors who were not always properly welcomed home from service decades ago. This program was approved by the United States Congress, signed by the U.S. President, launched in 2012, and continues through Veterans Day of 2025. And the chapters of the National Society of the DAR have become the most active participants in the nation in serving as official commemorative partners, locating and honoring these veterans and their families. And tonight it is my truly privilege to introduce to you a very special guest, Command Sergeant Major Robert Jenks, the senior enlisted leader of the New York National Guard, who is here tonight representing the United States Department of Defense from the Pentagon in thanking Vietnam veterans for their service. He's joined by his lovely wife, Molly, and I would like to ask Command Sergeant Major Jenks to please come forward. Sir.
Good evening. This is my distinct privilege for me to take part in this special event this evening. To all the veterans in the audience, thank you is an incredible understatement. There are no words to describe what your service and sacrifice means. Your service has not gone unnoticed, and it will never be forgotten. There were more than 58,000 knocks at the door during Vietnam. There are still 1,558 listed as missing in action. They were either killed in combat or died in captivity, and their bodies were never recovered to provide final closure for the families and loved ones. In Vietnam, there were 263 Medals of Honor. In fact, 44 of the 65 living Medal of Honor recipients are Vietnam veterans. For the veterans here today, you know what it's like to put your life on the line. Many of you had buddies who paid the ultimate sacrifice. When asked, our Vietnam veterans answered the nation's call just like veterans of past and present wars. Our country has made a special effort to recognize the service and sacrifices associated with conflicts on their 50th anniversary. And Vietnam has now come of age. It's time for us as a nation to step up and accomplish something that should have been done years ago. So that's why I'm here this evening representing the Secretary of Defense supporting events across America, to assist a grateful nation in thanking and honoring Vietnam veterans and their families. I am privileged to serve with the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration, our national effort to thank and honor the 6.2 living Vietnam-era veterans and the 9 million family members of those who served on active duty. This date's very important. 1 November 1955 and 15 May 1975 for their service to the nation. Our Vietnam veterans did not receive the parades and thanks they deserved. The way you were treated when you came home was a national shame, a disgrace that should never have happened. To date, we have recognized more than 3.1 million Vietnam veterans through the efforts of our more than 12,000 partners, DAR, give them a hand, round of applause, biggest partner. We still have more than 3.1 million Vietnam veterans to thank and honor. We need your help. I need your help to reach your friends and relatives, your brothers and sisters. Help us reach out to the hard-to-reach veterans. Help us reach our Vietnam veterans in soldiers' homes, nursing homes, assisted living facilities. Help us with the healing that happens when we reach a veteran who would just rather leave Vietnam in the rearview mirror than to receive our nation's thanks and gratitude. We have taken a keen sense of urgency, especially since the VA estimates that we were losing more than 557 Vietnam veterans a day. That's a staggering number. There's a scene in Saving Private Ryan where an aged Matt Damon turns to his wife and says, "Tell me I've lived a good life. Tell me that I'm a good man and I've earned it." I believe that's what we do when we extend our nation's thanks and gratitude. We tell our veterans they earned it. Finally, history hurts, but it also teaches. And one of the most important lessons of the Vietnam War is that we must always honor those who have lived through great and terrible times in the defense of freedom, because every generation of Americans that goes to war for the nation is defined the same way, by the virtues of selfless service, sacrifice, and devotion to duty. For all of our Vietnam veterans here today, you need to know your service years ago was both important to the nation and meaningful to all of us. You made a difference in our lives and the lives of our children. When asked to serve, you did your part, and each of you deserve the gratitude of a grateful nation. In closing, it is my distinct privilege to be able to carry on that tradition and especially honor Vietnam veterans and their families. So why I'm here is because of Sergeant Anthony Lassiter, Vietnam veteran, 1969, combat wounded in action. I'm here on behalf of the Secretary of Defense to award you a Vietnam commemoration pin. All right, Tony's an excellent volunteer, but we got one thing we want to do first. We'd like your wife to come up here, please. We're going to put a spouse pin on her tonight. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. 50 years. Round of applause. 50 years. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to ask Tony for a little help here. Do we have any veterans in the audience that served in the armed forces from 1955 to 1975 here tonight? If you are here, please come forward. Don't make me come through the crowd. Sergeant Major, I'll find you. You're in here. Let's go. All right. I see him standing up. Come on up front.
We're going to take a group photo, so anybody with a camera, if you want to come up, now's the time to do it. We'll put Tony and Command Sergeant Major Jenks in the center of the photo. I'm like the general here. I like it.
Okay, they're going to line them up for a picture here, but I would just like to conclude by saying to all of our Vietnam and Vietnam-era veterans that are up here this evening, we'd like to thank you for your service on behalf of the Secretary of Defense, the United States of America, and welcome home.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, Command Sergeant Major Jenks. One more round of applause for our veterans and for our special surprise guest here this evening. It's really a pleasure for me to continue and to conclude our formal program tonight by asking the Mayor of the City of Beacon, Lee Kiriakou, to share a few thoughts with us. Mayor Kiriakou.
Thank you, Denise. I think I'm the only thing between you and dessert and coffee, so I promise not to take long. Those of you who know me know that our 30 years in Beacon, my passion in community service has been the city. I sat on the council for some 18 years, and I've been mayor the last 3. It's an interesting position, and I have a much better understanding of you get a lot of complaints, I'll tell you. But I want to do, because the primary role I have, at least as I see it, is providing thank yous and recognition. So I just want to recognize those who have done elective service, which is a unique form of community service. Council members behind me, Denise Van Buren, I may miss one, John Rembert, Council member Fred Anelek is in there somewhere, Judge Foreman, Council member Charlie Kelly, and Mayor Randy Casal. And Randy, I have a very strong understanding. Am I missing someone? Who'd I miss? Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a much better understanding of the seat now. So, but thank you all for your service. Those of you who know me well know that I'm a student of history. I was a history major in college. The current book I'm reading is on the Battle of Salamis, which was the naval battle where the Greek city-states pushed back the Persian army and preserved our democracy. That's for you, Peter. But the book before that I read was on the American Revolution. It was on George Washington and Benedict Arnold, and it's a very interesting book. And you know, in Beacon we have such a rich, long history, you know, going back to the indigenous people on whose land, you know, we live, and then in the early days of the Revolution. So it's highly appropriate that tonight we honor the Milzinga chapter of the DAR. The other thing I'll note from a historical perspective is that tomorrow is November 11th, and at the 11th hour on that date was the end of hostilities of World War I. We honor our veterans tomorrow, so it's highly fitting that we honor Tony Lassiter tonight as well. I just want to say thank you to both. I have a couple of proclamations. And what do I got? I've got City of Beacon Certificate of Recognition presented to the Milzinga chapter of the New York State Daughters of the American Revolution today in recognition for receiving the Beacons of History Award. And then I have a second one, another certificate of recognition from the City of Beacon for Anthony Lassiter. So if I could give that to both of you, if someone come up, how do we do it? All right, Nancy? Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Kiriakou, for being here and for all the support that you provide.
Isn't she the best?
Oh, hardly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hasn't it been a wonderful night? Right? So before we break for our coffee and dessert, I have 4 brief but nonetheless important messages to you. First, and most critical, I want to thank every single one of you for coming. You all have busy lives, and yet you made time to be with us tonight. The Beacon Historical Society's mission has never been more important than it is right now, with all the development occurring, all the change that's happening in Beacon. So thank you for supporting our work. More than 200 people registered for tonight, and we turned away 12 people who didn't get their reservations in on time. So you have the golden ticket, folks. Secondly, time to draw our raffle winners. Where's my beloved sister-in-law, Erin? Thank you to everyone who purchased raffle. I'll let her, she likes to tell you how much we raised tonight with our raffle. Go ahead, sister. She's very, very shy, but I like her to come out of her shell a little bit and get in front of the microphone. Erin?
Well, this is the most of any year, and it's exactly $1,500 on the money.
That actually pays a month rent for us, the raffle. It's $1,500 a month. So thank you so much, everyone who supported. Tony, you're going to draw the first winner. We have 2 baskets of Beacon history. Each of them is valued at $300. They include books and t-shirts and memorabilia and trips to Bannerman Island. So get your tickets out. The winner is 078, and the last 3 numbers are 358. 358, 078 358. Anybody with this winning ticket? Don't be shy. We have a winner over here at the party table, the Johnsons. Okay, and Nancy Giordano, representing Mills Chapter, will draw our second winner tonight. And again, I say thanks so much. I cannot believe we raised $1,500 with tonight's raffle. Thank you. Please don't anybody turn us in if we were supposed to have some kind of city permit for running it. 078 753. 753 for the second basket of oh my God! I see a direct connection here. The City of Beacon Housing Authority gave us a wonderful sponsorship, and now they're going home with 2 raffle prizes. Go figure, folks. And then we were quite surprised and pleased that the wonderful folks at Max's on Main donated to us tonight a $50 gift certificate. So we are also going to draw that. So pull out your ticket again, 078 3 7 4 for a $50 gift certificate to the wonderful folks at Max's on Main. Here we go. Okay, congratulations. Erin, join me in thanking Erin, and she got some help from Mary Ann Dahl to deliver that to this table. Next to Debbie. That's amazing to me. Thank you so much. Okay, 2 more brief announcements. You have all surely enjoyed the beautiful centerpieces on our tables. They were created by all of our volunteers at the Beacon Historical Society. I'm so grateful to them. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes for an event like this. And what I'd like to ask is if you'd like to take that home, perhaps you would consider just making a donation to the Beacon Historical Society. It can be $5, it can be $50. If you're Judge Foreman, it can be $500, really. But any little amount of money that you'd like to make helps to support our work. Hopefully, you've got an appreciation tonight for all the great and important things that we do. So any contribution, and you can take home that great centerpiece. And then, finally, you had some table trivia, some Beacon history table trivia. And I'm going to be sharing the answers up on the screen momentarily. Hopefully, my computer's not been cooperating tonight. But now the staff is getting ready to deliver the desserts to your table as well as the coffee. I want to thank you for being here. And guess what, folks? I'm going to tell you right now, I hope to see each and every one of you the Thursday after Election Day in 2023, right? For our 7th annual Beacons of History Award. Thank you so much for your support.